All right, welcome to Monster Monday. So we have got Stay Alive. Now, if you're wondering where the intros have been on Slasher Sunday and Monster Monday, it is very hard to upload a video right now, so inserting the intro is even tougher, so we're just going to have to deal without those for a little bit. So I apologize for that for anyone who's missing it, but you can watch it on any of my older videos. They're not going anywhere. So there you go. I know it sets the mood. I wish it was there. It's just not. We'll have to deal with it for now. So yeah, Stay Alive. Peter Benavente, yet again, as I said, you're going to be hearing this name a good amount. Now, he actually bought this movie for me to watch it. I went to the store and purchased it, but he put money into my PayPal account so that he could buy this plus extra so that I would review it as well. So thank you to him for all the money that he's contributed, and he has plenty of other movies coming up, so look forward to those reviews. So this is the unrated director's cut, which actually means something in this instance because this adds 15 extra minutes to the film, and there's a lot of cursing, there's some nudity, there's some gore. This actually is a proper unrated director's cut. It takes it from a PG-13 to a decent R. So yes, thank you, because a lot of unrated cuts are bullshit. This is a movie that I saw in theaters because when I moved to Sedona, Arizona, the movie theater here for the first 5 years I lived here, 10 years I lived here, a long, long time. They only got three horror films. And I saw all three of them. Of course, I was always going to support local horror. And the first one that played here when I moved here was Stay Alive. I think it was the first one. I'm pretty sure it was. But regardless, it was one of the three. And of course, I went and saw it. And I remember liking it back then. I was like, yeah, it was all right, whatever. Having been, gone back and rewatching it in the unrated director's cut might have changed things for me. I don't know. But I really enjoyed this. I had a good time with this movie. There's a lot to enjoy in this flick. And I'm going to talk about it, obviously. So at first, I just want to say this is a pretty damn ambitious film. This is a video game movie where you're inserting, they go into a video game and the video game world is kind of coming to life around them. And that premise alone just sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. I mean, it just does. Video game adaptations on their own already have a varying degree of success, usually terrible. I'm somebody who thinks that they've made a few really good video game movies. A lot of people say no. I say bullshit. I've seen a few that I really enjoy. Of course, Resident Evil being one. Love Mortal Kombat. And I actually really like the newest Tomb Raider with Alicia Vikander. Although a lot of people didn't seem to like that. I don't care. I enjoyed it. So there are some cool ones. And I'm not saying those are the only ones. I'm just saying off the top of my head, those are the three that come to mind. But mostly every other time we've gotten video game adaptations, they're terrible. Most notably, of course, would be House of the Dead, which actually kind of brings me to the same ambitious level as this one, where Bowl is an idiot and he makes some horrid decisions with his movies, and he put graphics and gameplay in House of the Dead where they showed actual footage from the game within the film, which looked horrid. It even had insert coins in the middle. I mean, just what a horrid decision. Now in this one though, they do show clips from the game within the movie, but of course they're supposed to be seen because it is game from the movie. But within that, there's something that happens here that's interesting. In one way, it's really risky because the graphics that they're using are from PlayStation 2. The game's even on PlayStation 2 at the very end of the movie. And it's about the quality of the graphics within the game. So the game itself has to come to real life while also still kind of looking like PlayStation 2 graphics. So in one way, that's real risky because it's wow, that's going to look bad, right? It's not going to be scary. It's going to be there's an animated creature from a PlayStation 2 game, which at that time was innovative and revolutionary and looked great to people, but it's not going to age very well, which it kind of hasn't. But at the same time, it's also almost a proper cop-out to be like, well, the monster's supposed to kind of look shitty. It's supposed to look like it came from a PlayStation 2 video game. So you kind of got the risky, like, uh-oh, and then you kind of got the, get out of jail free card, like, that's the way it's supposed to look, as opposed to all the movies that have shitty looking CGI characters that are the main villains that they're like, well, why does it look so bad? You should have went practical. And this movie's like, couldn't have went practical. That's the whole point. So look past the shitty CG because that's supposed to look like that. You know what I mean? So I thought that was very interesting. And now I will say this though, I've played a good amount of Resident Evil. I think I've played every Resident Evil in the numeric system. Like I've played Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 7. Like I've played every one of those games. And then I think I've played a couple others outside of that, like, okay, let's think here. There was the first one that went outside of the numeric system, which was, what was that game called? It was a it was like a first person shooter, and it was horror fucking bull. Oh my god, that game was so bad. I hated it so fucking much. When I picked that thing up, Survivor, I think that's what it was called, Resident Evil Survivor. Oh my god, it was bad. Like I was angry. I picked it up, was so excited because I loved Resident Evil 1, 2. I think 3 was out by that point. I think 3, yeah, I think 1, 2, and Nemesis had come out, and then that was the 4th. Yeah, that was the 4th game. Horrible. Fucking dog shit. I hated it so much. And then, Resident Evil 4. And then I played Code Veronica X, which is really damn good. And then the Raccoon Files or something like that. What's that? Operation Raccoon City or something? That one, I'm pretty sure that was dreadful, if I remember correctly. But Resident Evil 7 was fucking phenomenal. That thing blew me away. I thought it was terrifying. Like, I was playing, I was like, wow, this game is fucking scary. Like, it felt like a full-blown horror movie on screen that you were in control of. Much like an Outlast, except for with much better graphics. And it was just very, very jarringly scary. Like, I'm not, like, sitting there shaking in my boots or anything, but regardless, I was like, wow, this game is terrifying. Like, kudos to these guys for pulling off something so frightening. And having said that, like, the whole point of this, I'm not just naming the fucking Resident Evil games I'm playing. I do have a purpose. I'm getting to it. And that is that imagine being stuck in or trying to survive a Resident Evil 7 without dying. And if you do die, you'd really die for real. And then imagine the Resident Evil game actually coming to life and being stuck within it. Terrifying. Oh my god, if you stuck me in Resident Evil 7 and I already knew I was going to die, Jesus Christ, what a terrifying premise that is. So, and I will tell you, my brother Nathan, love him. He's one of my favorite people of all time. I have my kids, I have him, I have my dad, I have some people that are at the top tier list of my life. My brother is my heterosexual life mate. Yes, the Jay and Silent Bob reference. And I will tell you, he is a total fucking pussy when it comes to horror games. He loves horror. He's a big horror fan. Always calls me, contacts me. Hey, what can I watch? What's new? What's good? And I'm like, don't you watch my channel, you fucking prick? And he's like, love you, Nathan. But that being said, love you, Nathan, like he's watching. He's not fucking watching. Fuck him. No, not fuck him. I love him. But he is a total pussy when it comes to horror games. Like, I've tried to play him with him, and he'll play, and he'll turn off all the lights, and he'll jump, and he'll be like, I can't do this. He just gets so sucked in. And I think that's a really great thing with horror games, is that they have that ability to really put you in the shoes of the character. It sucks you in. You're really paying attention because you're in control. You're not looking at your phone. You're not talking to your friends. You're not jerking off. You're not doing any of that shit. You're sitting there. You're focused. You're really intent. Like an Alan Wake or something where you're super engaged, or of course, The Last of Us, which is probably the best. No, it is the best horror survival game ever made, in my personal opinion. Alan Wake would be a close second for me. and then that Resident Evil 2 and remake that came out was pretty damn cool. So there's a lot of great horror games. But when you're in it, man, holy shit. And Outlast, Jesus, Outlast, you can't even fight back. You just run and hide, and then it just keeps being startled over and over. That was the game my brother was playing for me. I would have played it, but I wanted to watch him be a pussy, and he did. He did exactly what I expected, and he kept jumping out of the chair and running away and being like, this is too fucking scary, I can't do it. It's pretty fucking hilarious because he's not like that at all with movies. But when it's video games, he does. So within this, when everyone's freaking out in the game, I was like, hey, when they're playing the game, I was like, that's pretty funny because that's kind of like my brother. Love that they mentioned Fatal Frame in this. The Fatal Frame games are really, really cool if you haven't played them. They're pretty rare now and expensive, especially like the third one, which I think is called like Crimson Butterfly. Am I correct on that? I think they only made 3. Maybe they made a 4th, but my memory, they only made the 3. And really cool, man. You go around and you photograph and you try to catch like ghosts in a camera. It's super creepy. I think Konami made that one. I don't remember, but I remember I bought the first one when I was a kid, and I just thought it was so eerie. So love to hear Fatal Frame mentioned within this. Another game is mentioned. A couple other games are mentioned. I don't know. They're written somewhere else in here, but there you go. And I love how in the opening's actually really rad. I really liked the opening of this a lot. The guy walks in on his friend's fucking, and his friend is wearing a pig mask. Okay, I would never fuck in a mask because there's no ventilation, but also because that would make me feel really, really stupid. And I can't imagine any girl I've ever been with, well, maybe a couple. I've been with some interesting women, would be all that into it. It does remind me, of course, of that scene in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. Come on, baby, I want to do it with the mask on. This girl agreed to it. Michael's sister, Judith, did not. So poor him, but don't worry, he got beaten to death with a baseball bat soon thereafter and didn't have to think about his rejection. The friends are then murdered because he walks in on them and one's hanging from the ceiling. The chick, she's like been gutted or something and she's naked, and I think that takes to the unrated version of it. It looks like something out of a Hellraiser or Event Horizon or something. Pretty rad. It's a little dark to see everything, but still, it's a cool visual. They said that they hadn't played in hours, so clearly they had already died earlier, and now they were fucking each other to lament their dead characters within the game. That's a good way to grieve over your dead characters in a video game, is by having sex with masks on, I guess. And so, yeah, I really, really enjoyed the opening. Now, yes, of course, it's like every other damn opening. We get this real strong, heavy opening of characters dying, and then we go, what the hell was that? And then we go to this like whimsical opening where then the characters have to learn what the question we just asked of what just happened. And throughout the film, we then, of course, eventually get to that answer. But that all being said, I still liked the darkness of the tone. This film is very dark throughout. Like, it's a really dark toned film, both aesthetically and also just kind of tonally throughout. So dug that about it a lot. The chicks in this movie are all gorgeous. Fuck yeah, man. All the chicks are just super, super attractive. You got Jimmy Simpson in here, which anytime this guy's ever in a movie, I always have to mention that I did his mom's hair one time. So that's my connection to this guy. And I found him to be pretty funny, albeit annoying, but like funny annoying. He's that character that's constantly talking shit. He can never take anything seriously, whatever. There is a couple or one or two fake outs, like friend fake outs with stingers and whatnot. It is what it is. I'm not a fan of them, but because the movie was mostly strong, I feel like this movie's a tough sell, though. Like, the audience really just has to accept what's going on and not overthink things and not judge it because of what they think is quote-unquote lame within it. Like, oh, well, it's a video game horror movie kind of adaptation, and this is stupid. I can see people ripping this part and just being like, this movie's idiotic. But for the most part, when I posted that I was watching it, almost everyone who responded was like, I really like this movie, or I love this movie. So seems to be pretty well regarded, and that's surprising to me because my memory of this is this movie is mostly made fun of in the horror community, but it seems to have gained some kind of a cult following, and it absolutely deserves it. Now, when they start the game, they have to actually read the chant with on the screen, which they say is like next-gen technology at that time, which might be true, probably is. But I like that because it actually makes them like read an incantation to get started within the game. But to anybody who skips cutscenes in games, openings and stories and the narrative of the game, fucking you suck. Okay? That's part of the gaming experience. I can't stand when I play with people like that. They're like, let's just get to the game. You're going to miss out on a lot of what you're supposed to do in the first fucking place. So when they're sitting there, I don't know what to do. I'm lost. Maybe if you watched the opening, maybe if you watched the cutscenes, it would actually tell you and you'd know where you were going because you'd have purpose and you'd have a reason to want to get there. I love the cutscenes in games. I think some of the best writing, some of the best stories in modern storytelling is in video games right now. So people who skip cutscenes to me are just fucking missing out and I can't be around them when I play. Like, cause I played games online with my brother where he's like, come on, man. Like he's like, come on, press B with me. Like, let's skip this. And I'm like, I'm trying to listen. Can you shut the fuck up? I actually care about the story within the game. I don't just want to shoot things. I can play any game and shoot things, right? Like, I'm here for the story as well. I mean, the gaming is important, of course, but the story is part of it. Otherwise, it's just all the same game. Just play a shooter game and they're all the same, right? So the story matters to me. So when they all want to like, come on, let's skip this shit, it's like, oh, you guys are the worst. Gaming with your friends in person. This is something I used to do back when we used to play StarCraft back in the day, and you actually had to be connected from computer to play because there was no internet. So that really took me back, them all sitting in a room with their own consoles or PCs or whatever it was, and their own screens, but then they are connected via internet with their boss, played by the dominant male monkey motherfucker from Dazed and Confused. He's not the guy. That's Nicky Cat in the movie. This is Goldberg or some shit. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But that's always what I remember him from, of course, Dazed and Confused. For those of you who are dazed and confused by what the hell I just said, that's a line from the movie right before he punches someone and regrets it instantly. Which, of course, reminds me of how hot that curly redheaded chick is that Matthew McConaughey is all about. All right. And Finn, that's Jimmy Simpson's character in this. He's a much harsher, less tactful version of me within the film. He's always calling people on their bullshit and pointing out how things really shouldn't be all taken that much seriously, but he has no tact about it. I sometimes lack tact, and I purposely lack tact because I want to be controversial and edgy with people so that it kind of snaps them out of their bullshit. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I have friends when I do it, and sometimes I don't at the end. But, I'm me, and I like to, be harsh when I feel harshness is constructive. Of course, within the movie, the girl just finds a book that explains exactly how to kill the ghost. It's just so convenient, but this happens in every damn horror movie. They either Google it or they just... I think with Googling, it's a little easier to believe because they can type in a very specific thing and then very specifically be taken to that very specific thing very quickly, As within this, you kind of just have to get lucky by grabbing a book and turning to the right page and finding that right incantation, that right seance, that right whatever that would eliminate this ghost and happen to be the right one. Like, how many different books could there be? How many different passages could there be? Like, come the fuck on. The fact that she finds it so easily and just explains it, you just put 3 nails, one in the head and one in this, and that'll bring it to life. Like, come on. Like, what are the odds that that's the one? Not saying that the Googling method is all that much better, but at least I can buy how quickly they found it. But, you just kind of got to go with it. Of course, the cops think that they did it in this. Good luck explaining it otherwise. And at the end of this movie, same thing. Good fucking luck explaining to the cops that this is what happened. Now, that being said, we'll wait for this at the end, I guess. Hopefully I remember So let's hold that thought before we go. So the killer in this wants to bathe in the blood of young girls to stay young forever. This, of course, reminds me, I shouldn't say of course, but the bathing in the blood, the bathtub of blood, reminds me of the girl in Hostel 2 that bathes under the geeky chick from Welcome to the Dollhouse, who actually has much better tits than you may have expected. She's very, very unique looking, but she's got a good body. She gets her freaking throat slit, and this girl bathes in her blood. So when I hear bathing in blood, Hostel 2 chick with the sickle. Doesn't she have like a sickle or a scythe or something she slits her throat with? It's a gnarly scene, but that's what I think of. If you're not playing with your controller, and that's not in reference to masturbation. If you're an actual like AFC or AFK, away from your keyboard, for you noobs out there, your character just continues to keep playing because you become your character. So you're just walking around and you don't really know you're playing the game, but you are playing the game, which I thought was really cool. There is no turning the game off. There is no shutting things down. Like, you're in it once you start the game, once you've read the words, you're in it until the game is over. I dig that stuff. October is the chick with the black hair's name within this. Super hot. Like that name, October. I feel like if you had two daughters, you could name them October and Wednesday. Good stuff. October as a name. It's cool. Swink, played by Frankie Muniz, whatever the hell his name is. Isn't that? I never watched that show, but that's the kid from, what's that fucking show called? Never watched the damn show a day in my life. That's probably why I'm probably not even thinking of the right show. Is that like Malcolm in the Middle, right? Isn't that Malcolm? Oh shit. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that. I don't know. Never seen a second of that damn show, but isn't that Malcolm? Malcolm in the Middle? I don't know. Anyway, his name in this movie is Swink. Swink. Could you give this guy a gayer fucking name? Of course, it reminds me of Twink. Like a little twink, little Twinkie. But yeah, Swink. Jesus, man. And I like that he wears the little hand thing, and Jimmy Simpson's character calls him gay. Or Finn. Freaking FN2187 from Force Awakens. I like at the end, he's like, this thing is gay, and he throws it aside. I thought that was a fun line. If you die in the game, you're fucked. So is it better not to play? I don't know. I was asking myself this question. Like, playing a video game is all about hand-eye coordination, right? And you're either good at it or you're not. And some games are just impossible. I mean, play like a fucking Ninja Gaiden 2? Ninja Gaiden? Whatever that game is on Nintendo, that's absolutely impossible. And I still have yet to beat Castlevania to this day, no matter how many damn times I've tried. Every time I try to get past that last level, I never fucking can. But yeah, I mean, would I rather, like, take my chances and fight her out in the open? I mean, most of them don't even know that's happening. Like, Finn doesn't know he's going up against this murderous character within the video game. He thinks he's out. He thinks that if he doesn't play, he's not going to have anything happen to him, which you would think that they're trying to solve what's happening here and prove to the cops that they're not guilty. So it does make sense of why they would keep investigating and not just trash the game, get rid of it altogether. But I don't know. Like, would it be safer to play? There's no safer version, but like, do you want to play the game or do you want to run around? Once you know and you can make it to the house, where this chick lives and all of that, I don't know. I think as they played in the movie, where Swink and the main guy here, they kind of coordinate via radio or phone or whatever. I think that's the best way to play. Now, why he doesn't see his character on screen with him, I feel like he should. maybe he does, but he's not really shown much. If it is, it's really, really quick. He sees him in the game for a second, but then when he's showing him around the house, I don't feel like the character's running with him. So he does see him for a second. I just feel like there could have been more, and it would have been interesting to see his character out in the open, like the murderous character. If like Twink came in the room, that would have been risky though, and it would have probably looked dumb. But I still think he should have been able to see his character. And if he couldn't see his character, I think it would have been cool had he been able to interact with stuff outside of just throwing down the crowbar. Like if he opened a door, the door should have opened for him, which I guess kind of happens a little. I just feel like there could have been more interaction. I watched this movie a few days ago, and I've watched like 5 movies since, so my memory is a little off on how that all played out, but I just feel like there could have been a little more interaction. There could have been a little more going on with those characters kind of playing in tandem with one another, but that's just my recollection of it anyways. Fending her off with a rose, yeah. I mean, he grabs a whole rose bush, so it kind of feels like he's got unlimited. She cheats through the movie, so he starts cheating as well. The villain, who I can only assume is CG in this sequence, but she's got great tits. She actually gets naked, and she's got great tits. And he, of course, gets trapped in a room of fire because he's afraid of fire. We've seen that a million times before. The game goes viral at the end of this movie, so I feel like that would be a setup. This is where I was getting at when I said I would come back around. I do remember. I feel like that would be a setup for a sequel. Like, they arrest them in the beginning of the sequel and put them on trial for murder, and then the game goes viral. People buy copies, and everyone who's bought the game starts dropping dead. So they bring these kids out of jail to help them figure out, and now the rules of the game have changed. Like, this would have been a really cool idea for a sequel. And had this been more successful, maybe that's the route they would have went, and maybe it's not too late. Maybe they've been in prison for a while. No, I'm just kidding. It's too late, but still, it would have been a cool sequel. That all being said, hey man, thanks for the recommendation to Peter Benavente, and man, I can really fucking talk, can't I? Jesus Christ, man. Sometimes I surprise myself with how much I can just spit out this inane rhetoric, but you guys eat it up sometimes. Some of you do anyways, and I really do enjoy doing it, so fuck it. We all have fun together. So thank you to Peter. Thank you to everyone, and see you next Monday. I always say that at the end, like I'm not going to make another video by till next Monday, and that's a total bullshit lie. I'll probably be making one tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. How about that? Adios.